This SEC on CBS postgame report is presented by Belfor, the leading disaster recovery partner for businesses and communities. Hakeem Dermott, alongside two-time Super Bowl champion, former Florida State standout Brian McFadden. A big win for his school and a big win for Alabama. Coming off the close win to South Florida last week. The previous week lost to Texas. There were questions about the quarterback room, and I think Jalen Milroe answered those questions. 17 for 21, 225 yards, a touchdown, a pick. And B-Mac, he delivered that strike in the third quarter, took a huge hit, threw it to Amari Niblack, and it made it a 17-7 game, and that's where really the turning point was for the Tide.
One thing that I'm starting to learn about Jalen Milroe as a quarterback, he will not allow bad plays to stand in front of him. We saw a costly red zone interception by Jalen Milroe, not reading the defense the right way, led to an opportunity for Ole Miss to take points off the scoreboard. But when you look at how he was able to bounce back, he does not blink at all. I love that about his game. And as he continues to establish experience, he has to be the leading player at that quarterback position for Alabama, because clearly outside of Jalen Milroe, there's no other answer. So looking at and seeing how he was able to bounce back, once again becoming the starter for the Alabama Crimson Tide offense and lead them to a big-time victory in SEC play was huge.
Yeah, I like the fact that this defense shut him down in the second half as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was 7-6 at halftime, and they gave up 3 points in the second half. You mentioned Jace McClellan. He was awesome this game. 17 carries, 105 yards, a rushing touchdown. Alabama getting right at the right time. They have now won 8 in a row against Ole Miss. And let's get right to the site, back out to Tuscaloosa, welcoming the men who called this game, former NFL offensive lineman Ross Tucker, former NFL corner Jason McCourty. And Ross, I'll start with you as a former offensive lineman blocking for a quarterback. What did you see differently from Jalen Milroe in this game compared to the last game he started?
Well, it's interesting because early in the game, I saw a lot of the same bad things we saw earlier against Texas. He took some sacks that he shouldn't. He obviously had the really bad interception in the red zone. But the second half of the game, he cleaned it up. And I think the offensive line was a big part of that. I mean, the offensive line did a terrific job giving him time when he was dropping back to pass. They ran the ball much more effectively. And he had the play of the game, I thought, with the throw as he was just getting crunched, the throw to the freshman Hale receiver, who looks like a really good player. Yeah,
Jason, I was going to talk to you about the ball don't lie, right? Because they lost it down on that play. It was a little weird dynamic there, right? They lose it down, and then they get an interception, and then they go down and score a touchdown. We're shouting in the newsroom, ball don't lie, as Jalen Milroe delivers a strike under heavy duress.
Ball don't lie. They've been saying that on the free throw line for years, and you're not lying. Some confusion went on with the quarterback sneak, what down it was, and then Arnold comes away with a huge interception at that point. And what was impressive was he was able to bring that ball back to midfield. And to you guys' point, Jalen Milroe, his ability to come back after being benched, but then also throwing that interception early to come back and continue to make plays for this Alabama offense was huge, because their defense was unbelievable today.
Yeah, Jason, right back to you following up about the defense. I mean, this is the kind of Nick Saban defense that you expect to see, and there were questions coming in about who was calling plays defensively, and it looks like they've figured that out, only giving up 3 points in the second half, Jason.
Ross Tucker said it during the game. Who cares who's calling the plays, because it was effective. They were shutting them down, and this is an Ole Miss offense that goes fast and has been extremely productive throughout the early parts of this season. So for them to go out there, not only to shut them down, but also to hit Jackson Dart throughout the game. We saw him sliding in the second half. I think that's because he was beat up a little bit in that first half by this Alabama defense.
Well done, both of you, on the call. Alabama gets back in the win column, a huge win against Ole Miss to at least calm the storm, right? Like it felt like, uh-oh, what's going on in Tuscaloosa? And Ross, I know they treated you right in Tuscaloosa last night. They fed you well. They gave you a little back and forth, the fans, right? You had your Princeton t-shirt on, and they were like, what are you wearing that color in here for? So now you're one of them.
Yeah. Well, listen, it wasn't Auburn orange or Tennessee orange or Florida orange. It was Princeton orange, but, man, the barbecue we had. And evidently, I'm a huge banana pudding guy. I found out yesterday I'm a banana pudding guy now for life.
Is there any dessert you don't like?
Not really, no.
Love it. Great stuff. Enjoy the rest of your night in Tuscaloosa. Appreciate the time here on CBS Sports HQ. Ross Tucker, Jason McCourty on CBS Sports HQ. Men, thanks. And what a game from Jalen Milroe. I like that. Well done there by our graphics team. Six points in the first half, 18 points in the second half, 6 of 7. Way better in the second half, getting some confidence. And you heard Brian McFadden talk about this is a game where you build the young man's confidence. Yeah. Got a touchdown in the second half. He threw that red zone interception in the first half. And really, when you see a kid like this bounce back, and yeah, you're at Alabama, and you expect all these kids to have confidence, and you expect them to be exceptionally great 4 and 5 stars. But this is the kind of game here, B-Mac, where this really helps this young guy.
This was a get-right game, not only for Jalen Milroe, but the entire Alabama Crimson Tide team. Because even though they won last week, it kind of felt like it was a loss because they struggled on the road against South Florida, you know, weather delay, and it took some time for them to get to the party. But they ultimately won their ball game, and people felt like this was an opportunity. Getting back in the home stadium, playing in front of the home crowd, was an opportunity to get right on both sides. And we saw a slow start for the offensive side of the football, and the same can be said for the defensive side as well. But in the second half, the adjustments that were made were phenomenal. That led to a big-time second half deficit, being able to expand that deficit for a huge win.
All right, I want to take you back to the third quarter. 11 minutes to play. Yeah. They have the football. They're in the red zone. And they lose a down, and they kick a field goal, but there's confusion. On the sideline, you see Jalen Milroe holding up 3 fingers. That's only third down. Yeah. Nick Saban's talking to the referees. They think that it was 4 downs, and it wasn't. Something either happened in the stadium or there was a miscommunication. Yeah. What is the breakdown in those moments? Because I'm sure you've been on a field before where you, an offensive team, you're on defense and you saw that team lose it down. And you're like, oh, well, it's a gift. Clearly,
transparency was not there. What happened with Alabama offensively, they thought it was a 4th down opportunity. Right. Actually, it was 1st down for them. So because they thought it was 4th down, they ran a quarterback sneak. But if you look at what the referees said, that they communicated to the sideline, no, it was 1st down, so they lost the down. So now if you're Nick Saban, if you're the offensive staff on the sideline for Alabama, you're like, yo, we just wasted it down because we're not calling a quarterback sneak if we knew it was 1st down. They only called quarterback sneak because they thought it was 4th down. Ultimately, that was not the deciding factor that kind of led to a huge hiccup for them. They were able to bounce back. You talked about the big-time interception that they were able to create on the defensive side that led to a huge touchdown opportunity for Alabama. But on that mishap, they had to settle for a field goal because of that quarterback sneak that was ran on 1st down. It put them in short down situations, and they got to a 4th down opportunity to kick the field goal. Yeah. I'm more surprised that Nick Saban kept his cool as best as he did.
And didn't throw down his headset.
Oh, no question, because clearly that could be a missed opportunity.
4-point difference.
No question. But they found a way to win. Like I said, in the second half, they just exploded on both sides of the football and played big-time Alabama-like football. Yeah, to be able to pick off Jackson Dart, it was Terrion Arnold who picked him off, and then they drive down the field, and you see Jalen Milroe deliver that strike to Amari Niblack. Yes. I mean, he is under heavy duress, gets this wind knocked out of him down on the field, and you're like, oh, man, I hope he's all right. Yeah. But, I mean, he stood in there. And Jalen's a big kid, so he can take a hit. And see, that's the thing about Jalen Milroe. He can give you these type of plays where you're like, wow, look at that throw. He had another outstanding throw in the second half to Burton, where Burton had to really adjust to the ball, which is a unbelievable catch, but nice ball placement by Jalen Milroe as well. So he has this in his repertoire as a quarterback, Hakeem. He just needs to become more consistent. He has to see the football field better, because we see the big plays that we just showed you in the highlight, and then you look at the interception in the red zone. You're like, what are you looking at? What are you thinking? So he has to get that out of his game and just be more of the Jalen Milroe that we saw in the second half for Alabama to have any aspirations to do something significant in the SEC West. Well, you can certainly pick Jalen Milroe as the Belfour player of the game. Belfour player of the game, who is your guy? Jace McClellan. Okay. Outstanding running back for Alabama. Didn't really do a lot in the first half, only 24 yards, but you look at what he did in the second half. Big-time playmaker, had 81 yards on the ground in the second half, a huge big-time touchdown as well. This is a guy that should be the featured guy and should be able to do this week in and week out because he has the skill set. I love the power that he runs with. And the unique thing that I love about Mr. McClellan, he's always falling forward. That's a unique trait to have as a running back, because when you falling forward, you don't lose any yards. You're always searching for new yards, and he was able to do that in the second half. And he kind of jumpstarted the entire offense, because when he got things rolling, Hakeem, then you saw Jalen Milroe started to get things rolling as well.
Jace McClellan, Jalen Milroe outscore Ole Miss 18-3 in the second half, en route to victory as they improve to 3-1 as we wrap up our post-game report here. Full highlights ahead, but take a look at this. Lane Kiffin in his career against Nick Saban. He was looking for his first win over Saban in 5 career attempts. Instead, he falls to 0-5. He stirred the pot a little bit this week about the defensive calling and who was calling plays defensively, and said, you know, maybe this is the time to get Alabama when they're down, and, you know, Alabama's never really down.
I mean, what else would you expect from Lane Kiffin?
I like it, though. No, I like it. I like that he stirs the pot. Yes. I like it, but didn't get the win because Alabama shut the door defensively in the second half, giving up just 3 points on their way to victory.